Welcome to Craft It Sweetly. I'm Diana. Thanks so much for being here. In this video, I wanted to show you how to use Google Sheets to create the photo strip book art. One of my Facebook group members or viewers on YouTube was requesting if it's possible to do the patterns using Google Sheets. I have done one using LibreOffice, which is similar to Excel, but I wanted to see, is it possible with Google Sheets? And yes, it is. It's not too difficult. It's slightly different process. So I will show you in this video how to create that pattern. First of all, you need to go to find Google Sheets, and if you pull that up, it's right here, free online spreadsheet editor. So I will just click on that, and we want to go to Sheets. It does have various templates, but I'm going to use a blank one. And once you click on that, you can see that it looks just like a typical spreadsheet. So for this, first we need to kind of create a canvas for it. And with Google Sheets, I have not been able to find if you can change the column widths and the row height to inches. I only see it in pixels. If there is a way to change it to inches, please comment below. Would love to learn. I tried Googling it, Googling Google Sheets. So I couldn't find it. And it looked like it was just pixels, but it was the only option. So I figured, okay, I'm going to check and see what half of an inch is in pixels, because that's what we want these columns to be, half of an inch each. So I checked inches to pixels as far as a converter of some sort. And this came up. We need, it just converts it for you. We need 0.5 of an inch. Convert it, and we know it's 48 pixels. Okay, so once I know that it's 48 pixels, I'm gonna go back here. Now let's say you have a book that's 300 pages. You actually need 150 strips, which means you need 150 columns, because each column is going to give you one strip of the photo, one section of it. So I'm gonna need 150 strips as far as putting them on the edge of the book. I will number these columns every other page. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, because on leaf number 1 has page 1 and page 2 on the back. So this is going to be 1, and then the next one is not page 2, it's actually the page 3, because we're skipping every other one. I'm sure for the book folders and the, who are watching this, that makes sense, but it's all the odd pages. So I want to create 300, up to 300 as far as the numbers, which is really 150 columns. So I'm going to do a formula here, which equals, so make sure you put the equal sign in, column A, row 1, plus 2. So that's going to give me the next leaf that I need to do. And I'm going to format these a little bit larger so that I can see the numbers a little better. And the other thing that I'll do is I'll center these. And the only last thing that I want to do with the cells here before I copy them over is I want to add a border around like this, because that's going to give you the stripes so that you know exactly where you're cutting. Let me make this a little wider so you can see the stripes, and eventually I'll add one at the bottom as well. Once you have this, you just copy this over this way. You don't have to type in the formula anymore, just stretch it over. And in Google Sheets, you'll only have the option of going out from A through Z. Right there. Now what I want to do is I want to copy this over, because I need to get to page 300 and 301. That's how many pages are in my hypothetical book, let's say. And what I'll do is not starting in the first column, because then I'm going to copy the 1 over. I just want to start copying the formulas onto the next set of columns. So I hold down the Shift key and highlight this out to Z. And you can either Command C or Control C or right click and copy, whatever options you're using based on whether it's Apple or Windows. I'm just going to Command C since I'm on an Apple, and then come here and Command V, and that copied it over for another set. So now I'm on page 99 on it. I'm gonna do it one more time. That's gonna take me to 147. So I just do this till I get to page 301. Let me do, okay. So now that I have these pages marked, the columns are still not the right width. So I'm going to come from here all the way till the last one. Because the columns, remember, I need them to be 1/2 of an inch, which is 48 pixels. So once I have the columns highlighted, I will control and click on the top of the column. That will bring up, you can also right click, it will bring up this menu, and I'm going to resize these columns to 48 pixels each one. Now all of my columns are 1/2 of an inch wide. The height of the rows I want, let's go with 1 inch for each one. Let's say the book is 8 inches high. So if my 1/2 inch was 48, 1 inch is obviously going to be 96. I'm going to go back to, whoops, this side, Google Sheets here. I'm going to select 8 rows because I want 8 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's my 8 rows. Again, control and right click on here, and I will resize the rows to be 96 pixels high. This is my canvas at this point, and I will take this, once I post the picture in here, I will take this row and copy it below, because it'll make it easier when you're cutting that you can connect that line at the top and at the bottom. Once you have this canvas, you will click on Insert, and we're going to insert an image, and you want Insert Image over cells. We don't want to copy that image just into one cell. We want to copy it over all the cells. So we'll click on Browse, and I'll just pick this image of some flowers that I did in a previous video. And this is again to show you how to use Google Sheets, but if you don't feel like doing this, I have a member in my Facebook group that does awesome patterns, so you can save the time on trying to figure out how to make the pattern. You can have Jackie is her name, and she will create a pattern for you if you would like. So here we go. Once you have the image in here, I took the image, you kind of move it. There's no way to click on it, control, right click, anything to change the dimensions of this. You just do it by clicking either the corners if you want to drag it out, or the sides. So I will take this and drag it right up here. Where's my row one? Okay, I will drag it right up here so that it's right up against this row with the numbers. And then I will drag it down to the bottom of row 9 because that's 8 inches right there. It might be 8.01 for all I know, but again, in Google Sheets, I cannot find where to adjust the image with exact measurements. You just kind of have to go based on here. And remember I said I wanted to copy this row. I'll stretch the photo in a second, but I will copy this row from here and put it at the bottom in row 10 so that I have numbers at the bottom and at the top for when I'm cutting the strips. Now the last thing is to stretch this photo all the way to the end of the numbered columns, because that's going to give you the 150 strips. So just keep dragging this until you get to the end. And if you need more than 300 pages, then you just keep adding columns to it. All right, so I'm to the end here, and the photo is super stretched out, as you can see. So now that's pretty much it as far as setting up the image in Google Sheets. So fairly simple. You just have to make sure you know how many pixels you need for the columns and the rows. Once you have this, then we're just going to Control Print. So Control P to print this image. Okay, so once you have this, then we're going to go to File and Print. And this looks really stretched out. It's like, what is the matter with this? It's actually set to fit to width, which is definitely not something that we want. We want this to be 100%. Now, as you look at it, like, well, it's over several pages and it has 18 pages. That's not correct either, because this should fit on one page. It's 8 inches, so our page is 11 inches high. It's on landscape mode, so we want to set it to portrait. So now you can see that you've got the line at the top and at the bottom for cutting. And we're down to 12 pages for printing it. Super stretched out, but once you have the image, it'll look like the picture that you had. And, you know, it goes down to the 299 strips. Again, these are the number of leaves, and it's going to be half the number of pages in your book. And that's pretty much it. You just print it at this point. Now, if you want to print this saving ink, again, Jackie in my Facebook group would be happy to put together a pattern for you with an ink saver option where it prints white stripes and some of this section so that you have just the part that's showing on the page and not wasting so much ink. The only other thing I wanted to mention, which I've had a few questions regarding paper that I use a glossy photo paper. It's about 50 to 60 pounds. It's not photo paper. That's too thick to print, and I've heard that it creases funny. You know, it's definitely not something you would put on per page. But I have also used, by the same token, I have used copy paper, and that printed fine as well. But I do like the glossy look to it. It's a little easier to work with. It's not so flimsy as copy paper. In any case, I got off on a tangent right there, but hope this video was helpful for you to create a pattern using Google Sheets. If you have any questions, comment below. You're welcome to join my Facebook group and post your questions there. We have quite a few book folders in my Facebook group, but we also do lots of other crafts there. So I'll see you in the Facebook group. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next project.